Good morning, students. Students, today we will be learning how to start QBasic in our systems. So when the link of QBasic is provided to you and you click on the link, you get this kind of a folder on your system. You get a QB64 folder. Now, when I click on this, I double click on the folder icon, all these files are already there inside the folder. Now, out of all these files, I go to qb64.exe. exe is the executable file which needs to be executed. So you can right click on this file and you can create a shortcut for your system. You need to right click on this file and create a shortcut here. Create a shortcut. This comes, you can then drag the shortcut on the desktop like I have done, right? So we get a shortcut of QBasic. So now whenever I want to operate QBasic, I can simply double click on the icon and start operating QBasic. Now once I have QBasic on my desktop, I will open it, double click, open it. This is my QBasic screen. This is known as the QBasic interface. It is a blank screen which gives you the space to write. This is the working area of the QBasic screen where we write our programs. And this is the menu bar where we have the file menu, edit menu, view menus, search, run, and options menu. Now when I click on the options, many of you may find that when you open your QBasic screen, it will not be black in color. It may be blue in color or any other, like majorly it is blue in color only. So what you need to do if you want a black screen or any other colored background for QBasic, just click on options. You have the ID color options here. In the ID color, you can choose a color for your background. I have taken black color so that the text can be clearly visible on it. So this is about the settings. Now once we have made the settings, we start with our work. Now we are doing looping statements in QBasic. So for this, we need to understand what is a loop. Now a loop is something like this which keeps on repeating itself. Now children, you can see now this wheel is going on rotating and rotating and rotating. It is just like our earth rotating. So that is, it is going on rotating and rotating. It is never stopping. This is known as an infinite loop. That means it is not finite at all. It is not fixed to a certain number. Now when we have this kind of a loop, we cannot get the output क्योंकि program ही खत्म नहीं हो रहा तो output कैसे आएगा? So we will not be able to get the output at all. So in real life, we prefer, or rather it is mandatory that we make finite loops only. Now when the number of times a loop has to run is known, it is a finite loop. Finite loops can be built in two ways. Now the first way to build a finite loop is where we know the number of times. कितने number of times मेरा loop run करने वाला है. I know that, that is known as a for loop. For loop we write for I. We take a variable here. For is the keyword. After the keyword, we write a variable. A variable can be any letter. Any memory storage, named memory storage is a variable. We can give a variable here. Variable we write is equal to, then the initial value. Then we have the keyword TO2 and then the final value. From initial value to final value. And then we have the step size. Body of the loop, this is the syntax, means this is what we have to follow while writing a for loop. Then we have next. Next means a next value of the variable. For example, I have to print numbers from 1 to 10. I will write the loop for I is my variable here. It could be any variable. I is equal to, it starts from the initial value 1 to 10 because I wanted to print numbers from 1 to 10. If I want to print numbers from 20 to 30, so the initial value is going to be 20 and then to 30. This is how the loop will proceed. Now I want my numbers to go from 20 to 30 in a consecutive manner, like after 20 it should be 21, then 22, so on. So it should go in steps of 1, 20, then 21, then 22. It should proceed in steps of 1. So I write here then print I, because I want all the numbers to be printed, and then finally next I. Now what this loop is doing, this is written according to this syntax. For then variable is equal to initial value 20 to final value 30, and then I took the step size. Step size could be positive, it could be negative, or it could even be a decimal number. We will do more about the step sizes. Here by default step size is 1. So print I and next I. Now what this loop is doing, it is initially starting with the value 20, then it enters the loop. Here it sees the print I, it is going to print 20, then next I, it takes the next value of I. That means it increments the value of I depending upon the step size. If the step size is 1, the increment will be by 1. So the increment will become, the next value of I will become 21. So the next value of I will be printed will be 21. Then again next I, the next value will be 22, and so on till 30. Once it reaches a value 30, it cannot take a value greater than 30, because as the value of I becomes 31, it sees this. It has to go only from 20 to 30. It cannot take a value 31. It will come out of the loop, and whatever I have written out of the loop will get printed. Right, children? So now let us see this in QBasic. So in QBasic, we generally start our programs with the rem statement. This we have been doing in class 6th also. The rem is used to give the program a name so that we can identify our program. So to see the use of for loop, so here I write CLS. CLS stands for clear screen. Now if you get this kind of a red line, this means that there is an error in your line. I have by mistake typed L twice, so that you all can see the difference. CLS clears the output screen. When you see the output, it will be always on a new screen, a clear screen. That is why we give CLS. Then I write my loop for I is equal to 1 to 10. Step 1. Now again it is showing a red line. You will say, ma'am, there was no error in this line. This was the syntax. It is showing a red line here because it takes for and next as a complete loop. I have here written only for. I have not written next. Till the time I don't write next, it will take it as an error. So I will do nothing right now. I'll just continue with my program. It will automatically take away the line the moment I type next I. If I type next U, it will again show me an error because U is not there. The variable that I choose for, the same variable I need to choose for next also. So that's it. My program is done. Now how do I see the output of my program? To see the output of the program, I go to Run option, the Run menu, and I click on Start. Or I can also press F5, the shortcut key from the keyboard. So I just click on Start here. Now while I click on Start, you see it is going to show us creating .exe file, starting program, and then it clicks OK, and here is my output. This is the output. It has printed the numbers 1 to 10. That is what we were thinking of it to do, that it first it takes the value of I as 1, prints it, and then when it goes to next I, it increments the value by the step size. Step 1 tha, to 1 plus 1, next value 2 ho gayi. Then again when it has printed 2, it will take the next value as 2 plus 1. So the next value will be 3, and so on. This loop will go on till 10. After 10, it has not printed anything because we have not written anything here. If I write anything after next I, that thing will be printed after 10. Let us do that also. Now here it is telling me to press any key to continue. I click on enter. I am back on my program screen. Here I write print loop over. So now when I run my program, We can see after writing till 10, it is going to write loop over, because after printing till 10, till it had not printed to 10, it did not give me loop over at all, because it did not reach the statement. It was moving inside the loop only. Once I becomes greater than 10, it comes out of the loop and then it prints loop over, or whatever I write in the print state. If I change the step size to 2, what will happen? Because I have said that step size can be positive any value, it can be negative any value, and it can also be a decimal value. So now I make the step size as 2. Now in 2, what will happen? First value of I will be 1 only. It will print I. Then when it goes to next I, it is going to increment the value of I by 2. So next value of I will be 1 plus 2. It will print 3 here. Then after taking the value of I as 3, it will again add it by 2. That means every time now the value of I will be incremented by 2. So let us see. I have done F5 this time from the keyboard. Now see, this is the output. Here it has taken 1, 3, just as we had calculated, then 5, 7, 9. So that means now it is going in steps of 2. After 1, it did not go to 2, it went to 3, then 5. Now what will happen if I take the step size to be 3? If I take the step size to be 3, it is going to be 1, 4, 7, and so on. You want to see that also? Let's have a look. Instead of 2, if I make the step size 3, and then I execute the program. See, now it is 1, 4, 7, and then 10, and then loop over. Once it exceeds the value of 10, there will be loop over printed. So this is about the positive values of I. Now, where does my step take a negative value? Naturally, in maths also, we take negative values, or we write a minus sign. Negative values means minus sign when we want to subtract. So instead of adding values, when I want to subtract the value of I will put a step of minus I. Now when will I want to subtract? From 1 to 10 if I have to go, I do not have to subtract, I have to add only. But if I have to go from 10 to 1, if I need to go from 10 to 1, that means here I need to subtract. After 10, the value should be 9. Then from 9, it should be 8. That means I am subtracting values of I. So where I need to subtract the values of I need to put a minus 1 here. So I will be putting the step size as minus over here. My step size is minus 1. Now let me see what will be the output. Now what should be the output? Let us quickly calculate. First value will be 10 only. Then after 10, when it goes to next I, it will do 10 minus 1 and it will become 9. Then 9 minus 1, it will become 8, and so on. So now if I execute my loop, it is like this. See, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So it is a negative value of I that we have used here. So at places where the initial value is greater, this is the initial value. If this is greater than the final value, then we make use of a negative step size. So in this case, so it has to be positive. For a negative one, the initial value has to be greater. So here instead of 20, if I make it 50, so 50 to 30, here I can have a step of minus 1 or minus 2 or minus 3 depending on the output I want. Now what about the step size of decimals? We can also have a step size in decimal. We can also write step size minus 0.5. It is like marking in the exams, like half right, half mark. So here half step, we are moving in half a step, 0.5 ke steps mein. Now let us run the program and see. You can see here the value, it has moved down, it has subtracted in steps of half, 10, 9.5, 9, 8.5, 8, and so on till 1. And after it has reached this final value, it will come out of the loop, and whatever is printed, it will give here only, that is loop over. So this is a use of a for loop. We can repeat a set of statements a given number of times. Here we are repeating the set of statements 10 times. We can also have the loop from 1 to 15, 10 to 40, 30 to 60, any initial and any final value. It depends on us how many times we want the loop to repeat. Like when we go to a fair and we ride the giant wheel, it depends on us how many times we want to take the ride in the giant wheel. 1 round, 2 round, 3 round, 4 round, how many times we want to take the round. Same here, how many times we want to repeat the statement, we will make use of that much values here. If I want to repeat 4 times, 1 to 4. I want to repeat 8 times, 1 to 8. This is how we make use of the for loop. Now suppose I want to exit my for loop in between. In between in the sense I have written a long for loop. I don't want to see it 10 times. I want that, okay, my loop is running from 10 to 1, but the moment the value becomes 7.5, it should come out of the loop. That much is enough for me to understand. I did it for my understanding. Now I want that when it becomes 7.5, I should come out of the loop. So what I can do is, for exiting from the loop, I make use of the exit for command. Exit for statement is used to exit from the loop without completing the loop. Like in between, I want, no, it's enough. I don't want more rides. So I just come out. I say, okay, finish. I will make use of my coupon somewhere else. So here I make use of the exit for command. So how do I make use of that command? I simply write here, if, what is my condition? I have to give it a condition that when this condition is satisfied, then come out of the loop. So I write if I is equal to 7.5, this is the value I have chosen, then, see, now it is giving an error because my if then statement is not complete. So I'll write here then exit for, and for every if we have to give an end if. So I simply write here end if. That's it. My statement is over. So if has an end if, for has a next. So I gave the condition if I is equal to 7.5, then exit the for loop. So this loop should work only till I reaches 7.5. Now let us see this. See here. First I is 10, then it is 9.5. Then it is 9, then 8.5, then 8, then 7.5. The moment it reaches 7.5, we come out of the loop. How do we know we have come out of the loop? It has printed the statement loop over. It did not go till 1. So this is meant for exiting from the loop before the loop gets over. Now in daily life, children, there are many situations when we do not know how many number of times we may have to repeat a set of statement. We only know conditions at times. So in case where we know only the condition, we make use of a conditional statement. We will do conditional loops. So now we are doing the do while loop. So we have here do, the syntax is do, then after do we write while, and after while, do and while are the keywords. We write here a condition. Then we have the body of the loop, and then we have loop. So do, while, condition, and then body of the loop and loop. Now what does this mean? This means that suppose I want to print numbers from 1 to 20. Instead the instructions are given, print all numbers less than 20. So less than 20, you have to print the numbers. We do not have the criteria from 1 to 20. So less than, so okay, we will make use of the condition. Now less than 20 is a condition. So what will we write? Do, while. Now the condition should be that the number is less than 20. For defining the number, we will again make use of a variable. So I write like j is less than equal to 20, where j is my number जिसको हमने print कराना है. तो j is less than equal to 20. Now do while j is less than equal to 20, This is my condition. J is less than equal to 20 is the condition. What we need to do, we have to print the number. The number is in J, so I print here, print J. I initially take J as a number. I write J is equal to, say, 0. I can take it 0 also, I can take it 1 also, it is my choice. So I take J is equal to 0, do while J is less than equal to 20, print J. So first time it will print 0. Then next time it should print 1. So how will it print 1? I have to give here J is equal to J plus 1. Basically here we have to specify the step size on our own, and then we have loop. So there in the for next, when the system saw next, it incremented the value. Here when the system sees loop, it is going to increment the value. Loop का मतलब क्या होता है? Go back again. So first time J is 0, it gets into the loop, it checks the condition. J less than 20, is J less than 20? True. Condition is true, it will come inside. It will say, okay, print J. Fine, it will print 0. Then it will make J as 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. So J becomes 1. Loop. The moment it sees loop, it will send it back to do. So the moment it saw loop, it will send it back here. Again, it will check J. What is the value of J now? 1. 1 is less than 20. Yes, so 1 will get printed. Then 1 plus 1, it will become 2. So 2 goes up. 2 is less than 20. Yes, 2 gets printed, and so on. It keeps on going till the value of J is less than or equal to 20. The moment the value of J becomes 21, like 20 plus 1, 21, it goes up. Again it will go up and check, otherwise it will not believe. It will go up and check. 21 less than equal to 20? No. Then it will come out of the loop. So let us see this in QBasic. Now these statements have got deleted after rem. Now in rem I'll make the changes to see the use of do while loop. So we had written J is equal to 1, do while J is less than equal to 20. This was my condition. So I write here J is less than equal to 20. Now again it will show here a red line. Why? Because it is not going to accept a do while without a loop. So there has, till I type the word loop, L-O-O-P, loop, it will keep on showing a red line. But no worries, I am just going to type the body of the loop, and here I can type loop now. Now the red line goes. Now here also, to see that it has come out of the loop, I'll just write print. That's it. Now I'll execute my program, and to execute my program I will do F5 from the keyboard, F5. Now you see here it is giving 1 1 1 1 and it is continuing. Why? Because I have not changed the value of J anywhere. J की value change ही नहीं हो रही. J is 1, J is less than 20, yes, print J1. Again goes up, J is less than 20, yes, it will again print. So it has become an infinite loop. So that the loop, and it has not printed out of the loop because it has not come out of the loop only. How will it come out of the loop? Only when we change the value of J and it becomes greater than 20. So how will I do that? I have come out of the loop. I press Control break to come out unconditionally of the loop. Now I am going to give it a statement so that the value of J changes every time. So now I have given J is equal to J plus 1. Now let us see the output. Now here you can see it has terminated. It has come out of the loop. We have 1, 2, 3 going till 20, till it is less than or equal to 20. And once it has finished the loop, it has printed out of the loop also. So now here we did not make use of initial or final value. We made use of the condition. This is our do while loop. Now in do while loop there is a variant also. Instead of writing do while together, we can also write do loop while. That means I can cut do while from here, and the same condition I can write with loop. Instead of writing with do, I can write it like this: while j is less than equal to 20. Now this is another variant of do while loop. Here it becomes do loop while. The only difference here, also the output remains the same. The only difference is this loop will first execute and then check the condition. So even if this condition is false, it will execute once. Let me see. Like last time we had seen that the loop worked only when the condition is true. Now let me make the condition false. Okay, now we know that j is 1 and our condition is j is greater than 20. Now this condition is totally false. So ideally the while loop should not work. Let us see if this works or not. Now this is the output that it is showing me 1 and then out of the loop. Why did it show me 1? Because see the sequence of events. J is equal to 1, print j. There is no condition here. So first value it just prints, then it changes its value, j becomes 2, then it checks if j is greater than 20. No, j is not greater than 20. So it printed out of the loop. So this kind of loop will work at least once even if the condition is false. Whereas if I put while here, the loop will not work even once if the condition is false. That is the difference between these two type of loops. Now here also I can make the use of an exit condition. I can exit from the loop. In between also, I always have a chance to exit from the loop. I am writing while back here because this loop does not work even once if the condition is false. And I'll take this out from here. Now I want to exit from the loop the moment the value of j becomes equal to say 10. So what will I do here? I will again put a check that if j is equal to 10, this is my checking condition, then what to do? Then exit the loop. I don't want to continue in the loop. Then exit. Now we are exiting. Earlier we had written for. Now it is a do loop. So we will write exit do. That's it. And I'm going to do end if. All ifs have an end if. And my loop remains the same. Now let us see the output of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It just executes till 10 and now it is out of the loop. So to exit from the loop, before completing the loop, we make use of the exit statement. With a do while loop, we will make use of exit do. With a for next, we make use of exit for. Now the third type of conditional loops that we have is the do until loop. It is just the opposite in the sense, while writing it is just this much only, do until. In place of while, we may write do until. But in working, it works only if the condition is false. While loop works only if the condition is true. Whereas until loop will work only if the condition is false. Like for example here, let us see, j is less than equal to 20. My j is 1. J is less than equal to 20? Yes. So this loop will not work at all. Let us see the output. See, the output it shows directly out of the loop. It did not print any value of j here. It is simply out of the loop. It will not work because the condition is true. Until loop works only if the condition is false. So if I want the values to be printed in an until loop, what I will do? I will make the condition false. Kaise? I will write here greater than 20. If I write here greater than 20, my j is 1. 1 is greater than 20? False. Now it is false. This loop will work. Let us see the output. See here, this is the output of the loop. So children, today we have done 3 types of loops. The for next loop, that is when we know the number of times the loop has to run. There we make use of a for next loop. Where we do not know the number of times, we know the condition, we make use of either do while or do until loop. Do while loop works only when the condition is true, whereas a do until loop works only when the condition is false. Thank you, children.